Hello and welcome back. This is The Experience and video number 3. So what we're going to do, like we talked about earlier, is we are going to prep your course outline. So in other words, what we're going to do is we are going to plan ahead before we do any sort of implementation. So prepping your course outline from the moment they purchase to the moment they finish consuming your course is very important. So in other words, what we're trying to do is we're trying to lay out all the steps that they must go through because this is crucial. So in other words, step by step by step. Now, for example, the very first video should be about introducing your students, and that's really important. So if you don't have that, you might want to make that as an addition. So you might want to say, thank you for your purchase. Here's a quick overview of all the videos that are laid out and show it in action. And oftentimes you want to make this video last because this will be after you've set everything up. So you'll be able to show, okay, so you log into this WordPress site. This is what you do. You can see lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see these topics, all that. So what that does is it puts people in the frame of mind of, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I can expect. And it kind of takes away that fear. So you need to give people an idea of what to expect because a lot of times they have anxiety or fear of what's ahead. And that anxiety or fear, a lot of times is what prevents them from moving forward. So what you're doing here is you're helping them move forward. Next, you want to make sure that these steps from there make it easy for your students to consume your content. So like I previously mentioned, maybe you have the welcome video, and then after that, you have maybe a checklist that they can download, and whatever else will make it easier. So in other words, you don't have to necessarily make more videos besides the first introduction video, but you want to lay it out so that you can see, okay, so should I put all of these videos, step 1, step 2, step 3, all different steps, or should I do video 1 and maybe the introduction and the video 1 and then a checklist and maybe a Word document of some sort in between the videos so that I don't overwhelm people and all of that. And we'll talk about drip feeding and how to prevent people from being overwhelmed. So in other words, what I'm talking about here is basically adding buffer pages or pages in between each video if they need more clarification. Now, the only way to know how to do all of this is to map it out. All right. So let's head on over to a mind mapping software and do this now. Okay, so I want to say that it doesn't matter what you use to map your plan or outline out. What I'm using here is a software. It's an online web application called Lucidchart. That's lucidchart.com. Now, if you're not a visual person and you would prefer to use something like Notepad or a piece of paper, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of mapping it out so that you are able to see step 1, step 2, step 3, and all the steps ahead so that you can take this blueprint and implement it later down the road. So we got this here. This is the online course. And the next one, we're going to say video number 1. And actually before that, of course, we have the introduction or quick overview. A lot of times, like I said, I like to complete this video after everything has been set up. So as you can imagine, if your site has been set up and laid out, and then you make this video, what this enables you to do is show people everything in action. So whatever they see on your screen is likely what they are seeing on their screen as well. So what it does, like I said, is it takes away that anxiety. So the next thing we've got is from, let's say, the introduction. We have video number 1. And of course, typically, if you have your course in hand, you're automatically going to have, video 1, video 2, video 3. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to say we've got 4 different videos. Now, obviously, most video courses and online courses are going to be a lot longer than that. So what we're going to do now is, let's actually move this up. Let's see here. What I like about Lucidchart is you can pretty much map it out so that you can see, okay, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. We move from here to here. And let's see here to here, and here to here, like that. All right. So this is our whole course. And what I want to do now is get a better view of how can I make this more engaging? Perhaps what are areas that people are confused about? And how can I improve my students' success rate? So obviously, if you have your online course, you're very passionate about your course and you're very passionate about helping your students. So once you have that, you can figure out, okay, we're going to go through here. We got the online course, we got the introduction, the quick overview, and they have video number 1. And let's say video number 1, a lot of times when people get overwhelmed, they go from video 1, video 2, and then video 3, and then they start to get overwhelmed. So in order to do this, what we want to do is we want to break things up. And the way you break things up, like I mentioned earlier, is to add buffer pages. So what we could do here is video number 1, we could have, in addition to that, we could have a document, maybe a checklist or a summary of video 1. And maybe after that, you can create some homework. Now, you don't have to call it homework. Homework sometimes has a bad connotation. So you can say to-do list. So before they can move on to video number 2, in other words, they have to do the to-do list. So maybe they learned something here and they need to implement that in here. So you see what's happening? The majority of courses have it where it's like watch video 1, watch video 2, watch video 3, and then they get overwhelmed and they quit. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to break things down so that it's not as overwhelming. All right, so once they've finished the to-do list, then they can move on to video number 2. So in that case, we delete that arrow. So it goes from here to here. And then next we have video number 2 to 3. Now, during tests, we found that a lot of times when you have some sort of document like a checklist or a summary of that video, it helps. It helps a lot. So let's see here. Let's move this up here like this. And from video 2, we have another checklist and a summary. And maybe a to-do list. So as you can see, the to-do list basically tells people, okay, this is what you need to do next. So you need to do this next before you get to the next video. So we do that. Now, we want to mix things up. You don't want it to stay too consistent. So maybe after video number 3, we can offer something like, we'll do summary's good, but maybe instead of a to-do list, we have a quiz, but a short quiz. Not a long quiz, but a short quiz. Remember, you don't want to overwhelm people. So we're going to delete this. We're going to go from the short quiz to video number 4. Now, you could set it up so that in order for them to move to video 4, they have to get the questions right. But from our findings, what we found is a lot of times that can become frustrating, especially if they answer it wrong. So what that does is it makes things negative, and we don't want to create a negative environment. You want to keep things positive and keep them excited. So let's move from a short quiz to video number 4. So same thing here. We can do this here, and we'll do video 4. And that here. Now, what's nice about WordPress, the plugins that we're going to be using, is that you can also add things like certificates. So in other words, when they finish the course, they get a certificate with their name on it. Now, you can do that with the plugin that we recommend, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Now, what I want to say is a lot of times what people do is they buy the course, but in order for them to stay, there needs to be a community, or they need to have the ability to engage with you. So having sold many courses over the years, we found that even though there's a course, if there's no community, it's hard to get people back to your site. So that's kind of a basic outline here, and we definitely want to keep things basic. You don't want to complicate it any further. We can add things like forums, which we'll discuss later on. So we could add a forum. And typically you want to, after the introduction video and the quick overview, you could send them to a link to the forum. Now, depending on how you set things up, if you have a Facebook group, you can send them to that link. If you're utilizing the WordPress plugin that we recommend, sometimes they are connected to forums like bbPress and other community and forum plugins. So that's kind of a brief map of what you can do. You can do anything that you want. Just make sure that it's not too overwhelming, because as you can see, this is video number 4 and we've already got so many different steps. We want to make it fun. We want to make it short and quick, but we don't want to have too many steps. So one thing you could do is you could just have maybe a to-do list and a summary and a to-do list all bundled up into one. You could do that. You could break these up into sections like lessons and maybe have a summary for the whole lesson instead of each individual video. So those are just some general ideas that you can use. Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 4, and we're going to talk about different WordPress learning management system plugins that are available to you. Now, obviously, there are tons and tons of ones out there, but here's just some of the top ones that are available to you. Now, let's be honest, choosing the right WordPress learning management system is crucial to your success. So really it ends up being your choice at the end of the day. So what you want to do is you want to take a look at each site, each plugin, what features they offer, and get an idea of what you want to do. Because what you want to do may be different than what I want to do or what somebody else wants to do. So you're going to know that better than anyone else. So there are some free ones out there, but here's the thing. Is it really worth it? Because the reality is that your site is important. And being able to set things up, accept payments, a lot of times you'll make that money back. That's obviously not a guarantee, but it's all about the experience. If you can create a better experience for people, like I said, the consumption rate is going to go up and they will most likely want to come back. So that's what I want you to do, is to look through the plugins that we're going to talk about in this video and ask yourself, is this what my students are going to enjoy? Don't even think about price right now. Just think about that right now. Okay, so there are about 5 WordPress LMS plugins that we're going to go over in this video. But the first one is one that we highly recommend that you get access to. And the reason why is because not only does it offer pretty much every feature that we discuss in this video course, but in addition to that, it also integrates into all sorts of membership plugins, into a lot of different other WordPress plugins that enable you to do much more, to make not just an online course, but a community that is engaging and that has gamification built into it via other integrations. And I'll show you that in just a second, but LearnDash.com. And as you can see here, it looks really nice. And actually, as of now, LearnDash 3.0 was just released, and it looks really, really nice. So if we scroll down here, you can kind of get an idea. You can sell your courses, you can drip feed content, you can deliver certificates, points, and badges to encourage learners, and you've got engagement triggers. So based upon different actions that the student takes, you can either message them automatically or do certain things. So that's nice about LearnDash. It's not just an online learning management system that accepts money and delivers your content, but it's just so much more than that. All right, so you can see you can create groups, you can manage learning progress, so you can see where the student is in terms of their learning path, what they've completed, and you can get reports as well that tell you kind of a bird's eye overview of everybody in your course. So if you scroll back to the top, you can click Features here. And there's a lot of things here. You can do quizzing, advanced quizzing. You can create courses very, very easily. You got prerequisites that you can create. You have dynamic forums. You have gradebooks. You have course points. So you can award points for completing courses and unlock new ones. You got certificates and badges. This is the reason why we like LearnDash, is because it provides you with tons and tons of different features. You don't need to use every single one of them, but it's there in case you grow. And that's something to think about. As a business person, you need to think long term. So instead of thinking, okay, this is what I need now, think about, okay, this is what I need now, but I can have the potential of growing, this site, this business, to many different courses, to a community kind of thing. Now, before we talk about LearnDash and how to integrate it with gamification and all of that, let me talk about the other WordPress plugins. And in fact, what I'll do is when I give you a LearnDash overview in the next video, we'll discuss that. All right. So the next WordPress LMS plugin is called Lifter LMS. That's lifterlms.com. And As you can see here, it says everything you need to create, sell, protect your online courses. So if we scroll down here, you can get an idea of what it offers. And like I said, what I recommend that you do is jot down what your vision is, or what are the elements and the features that you will need. So that's one. That's the second one. The third one is called WP Courseware, and you can get here by going to flyplugins.com/WP-courseware. Or you can simply go to google.com and type in WP Courseware, and you'll get this page. Now, WP Courseware has actually been around for a good amount of time. In fact, when WordPress LMS systems began to develop, they were actually one of the first few ones. So they've evolved a good amount over the years. Now, as you can see, they've got drag and drop, they got drip content, which is pretty standard nowadays. You can protect your courses, quizzes, you can manage students, you've got membership integration, and shopping cart integration. All right, so that's the third one. The fourth one, which is actually by WooCommerce, it's called Sensei. And Sensei is another WordPress plugin. Now, bear in mind that Sensei is not as feature-rich compared to LearnDash. It is feature-rich in the sense that it can provide a lot of different things like quizzes and the standard items. But beyond that, really, LearnDash really goes above and beyond. And of course, last but not least, we have Namaste LMS. That's namaste-lms.org. And this one says that it is free, but they have a free version, and of course, they have a pro version. So if we click on Go Pro, so Namaste LMS Pro version, you can create classes, you can assign teachers to the class, you can award badges, you can reorder courses, manage files. So a lot of basic elements, essentially. Now, if we go to other modules, you can kind of get an idea of additional plugins that are on top of the Namaste LMS system. So as you can see, it's fairly basic, and it might be something that you need. I mean, if you're low budget, you can do this first, but bear in mind that as you grow, it'll be a pain to switch. So that's why I say start with the one that really works for you first. It can be LearnDash, it can be something else, but stick with that first and think about it and review it and look at the features and see if that is going to take you, a few years or even 5 years down the road. All right. So with that said, let's move on to the next video.